Hi, this is Jared from the G2 Gallery podcast, and we're going to continue the Eastern Sierra Land Trust series of photographers with Andy Selters. How are you?
Doing pretty well, thanks.
Thanks for coming in. Now, let's start by, I want to ask you, are you a California native?
I am a California native, but I spent a lot of formative years right after college. I moved up to, I lived in Washington State, in Bellingham and the Cascades, and so I moved back to California in the Eastern Sierra in 1990.
Okay. But when you were born, were you born near here?
Grew up through high school in Glendale.
Oh, okay, Glendale. So you're local, sort of.
Originally, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So where did you go to college?
Humboldt State.
And where is that located?
That's about 2/3 of the way between San Francisco and Oregon border on the coast there, in the Redwood country.
Right. Okay. So then, so you were there, and I know that you wrote your first book
while I was in college. Yeah, I was a sophomore when I came back down to Sequoia, and for a couple summers, and researched and wrote and photographed for a hiking guidebook to part of the Sequoia National Park.
Right. And so, explain to me a little bit. So you were in college, and how old were you?
Oh, I was 19,
wow.
20.
Well, what made you decide you would like to do this?
Oh, I have to say that growing up in the LA area was, I was getting away from that. I wanted to basically bail out of an urban environment, and the little taste of mountains that I had gotten during high school, I knew that's where I wanted to go. And so the Sierra, of course, being the best, greatest mountains almost in the West here, really. I love to go down there, and I was a biology major, and so I was already studying a lot of natural history, and I met a guy who was writing guidebooks for Wilderness Press, and he says, hey, they need one for Sequoia area, so go talk to him, and I did, and so that was my first photographs were ever taken, just about, were in that for that guidebook, and they worked out technically, I suppose, and but it wasn't until a few years later that I started thinking of photography in terms of artistic quality. And
right. What did you think of it then when you were taking photographs for the book?
For that first guidebook, I thought, well, okay, I have a few basic guidelines. You don't want to center your subject in the middle like a bullseye, and you want to have something that you want to get your exposure right. But I was shooting black and white negatives, and check the exposure, check the focus, and when you can, put it on a tripod, and look for some lake reflections. And it was total experimentation, and a couple of the shots actually turned out pretty nice. So lake reflection that with black and white had the range to handle that, and then there was a foxtail pine I took. Wow. My camera quality was pretty low, so I thought at the time, oh wow, this is like an Ansel Adams thing, right? And then eventually I found out, okay, well there's more to it than just the basic appearance,
right?
But yeah, it was it encouraged me. I thought because at the time I was more of a writer and natural history background and that, and it encouraged me to say, well, actually, the photography, the visual aspect on paper is it's an important part of the message.
What was your relationship with Galen?
Oh, he was I guess you would say he was mentor.
Yeah.
I mean, he was successful. He had just married Barbara, and she was transforming his business from like this successful thing to, okay, now he's a star.
Yeah.
And he had this huge following from the Bay Area all over the country, and they'd just recently gone trekking with Robert Redford, and everything was just falling into place with the two of them, and their partnership I could see. And so I had stayed at their place for a few days, but it was so he was mentor. But when he came down to Bishop and did a slideshow, and I was there, and he had some pictures when we trekked together. It's another little coincidence, but I was leading a trek, and he was photographing a trek, the same trek around Annapurna, and he says, he showed some pictures of me and said, Andy's a up and coming photographer, and he told this whole audience that, and he was really encouraging.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Andy, for coming in.
Great, thanks. You guys have a great gallery, and look forward to working with you more.
Thank you so much. Bye.